everybody? It's Jimmy Toscano with Josue Pavon. Bobby Manning will be joining us
So
in a
close,
bit as the Celtics, the second team Celtics, I should say, drop a thriller,
KB.
borderline game. Man, game of the year, I would say. Even though they lost this one in overtime, 131 to 125. And this episode of the Garden Report is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/garden and get on your way to being your best self. That's right, guys. New sponsor alert. We're going to get into BetterHelp in a little bit. But first, yeah, by the way, it's 10% off your first month. I should have noted that. But we'll get into BetterHelp in a little bit. Right now, we have to get right into this game. Josue, this was a game where I think the Bucks were favored by about 10 points going into it, rightfully so. No Jason Tatum, no Jaylen Brown, no Marcus Smart, no Al Horford. But I gotta say, the effort and the tenacity of this Celtics team, the fight
Man.
from start to finish. Yeah, they did give up a double digit lead. We can't ignore that. But the fact that they had a double digit lead against a basically a fully healthy Bucks team that many consider, or I should say at least some consider to be the, even though the Celtics are currently your number one seed, a lot of people think the Bucks could end up in that position. This Celtics team showed, and I gotta say this too off the top, the TNT broadcast absolutely drooling over the Bucks' depth tonight, as the Celtics' second team
Yeah,
is stomping them.
yeah.
So let's not only focus on the Bucks stuff. I think the Celtics really proved tonight that they have some depth of their own. Josue, give me your thoughts on this one.
Oh man, Jimmy. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like they don't know a whole lot, or at least they didn't expect guys like Muscala and man, Sam Hauser had a heck of a game. Derek White had a heck of a game. I mean, I feel like they almost expected that, or they think that that's the norm for Derek White and for guys like that, Malcolm Brogdon, of course. But like that's what they've just been doing lately, and to do it on this stage in their house, I mean, they really
Mm-hmm.
had to fight to extend this winning streak. And the Celtics, man, Derek White setting the table for everyone, being the score first point guard as well, like he's been doing the last couple of games, but doing it on a bigger level because you're doing it against the Bucks. I mean, these guys were completely healthy. I mean, sure, Middleton was on a minutes restriction, but I mean, for the most part, you control the tempo of that game. And then you look at the way things went down in the overtime. You get out to that same energy that you started off this game, the way you started off the second half. You build this almost a double digit lead. It felt like,
It
and
was a double
then
digit lead.
it was double digit lead, right? In
Yeah,
overtime.
they're. Oh no, not in overtime. I thought you were talking
No,
about
no, no.
in
I
the
think well
game.
in overtime, almost. It was like almost on their way there, and then who is it again? Drew Holiday, the same guy who was making those huge
Man,
plays in the fourth quarter, doing it again in overtime,
with
snatching
the
away from the
steal.
Celtics. I mean, look, that's how thin the margin of error is. I mean, when the Milwaukee Bucks clamped down defensively, I mean, of course they did blow it in that last minute or so. I mean, Hauser
Mm-hmm.
hit a heck of a three pointer. It wasn't easy for the
Hell of a
Celtics, but
shot.
when they started clamping down, I mean, that's when the Celtics, it seemed like the Celtics, okay, this one's over before overtime. But they forced overtime. Hauser, what a shot. I don't want to hear anymore, oh, well, we don't know who Hauser is yet. I mean, this guy, look, I'm not saying he's going to do this every single night, but he's proven himself, Jimmy. I mean, look, I told you before you hit live. I was like screaming at my TV in this one. I'm not going to lie, just because these guys were
Yeah,
fighting and they wanted it more and they were forcing turnovers. I mean, they forced 11, but before the halftime. I mean, turning those into points and then going on that run that they went on, Brogdon leading it, Derek White. I mean, there's so much we can go through, but
yeah, we
man,
will. We'll get
what
into it
an
all.
effort by the Celtics. I really do think, even though they lost, this is like, could you think of a team making a bigger statement in a loss? Like right now, I mean,
No,
does that make sense? I mean, look, your best three is out. I mean, this is a heck of a performance, man. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed by the Celtics.
at the end of the day, these guys are everyone in the Celtics. They're competitors. They're not happy about losing this game at all. But I think they can leave Milwaukee certainly with their heads held high and be proud of the performance they put in. Take a look at everybody who put on a jersey tonight and be proud of the effort they put in there. And I don't know if where you want to start in terms of the actual game. I guess we can just start, in overtime, just because that last play, the Celtics, obviously, Drew Holiday with the steal, and the bucket there, and the Celtics have a chance to, I think, take the lead right on that last, if three wins it, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, and then you get the
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 shot clock and the game clock were right neck and neck.
right.
Derek White gets pressured, you know, the whole way. Right out over halftime, he's kind of scrambling to get rid of the ball. Not a lot of movement. I think Brogdon made himself slightly available. Grant gets open. Now, mind you, and this is something that we've harped on over and over again on this show. The Celtics have 2 timeouts at this point. Wouldn't you think that as Derek White is scrambling to find an open man and he finds Grant Williams, who starts dribbling all erratically on the wing, that maybe somebody, Mazzulla specifically, thinks to call a timeout there before the clock winds all the way down? I mean, that's what I would have done. Certainly. I mean, don't forget, you don't have your Tatums and your Browns to go to in this game where you can just say, give it to one of those guys and let them see what they can do with it. This is a game where it was a lot of ball movement. It was a lot of being aggressive. Derek White certainly was aggressive tonight, to say the least. I don't think Grant Williams was the guy you wanted with the ball in his hands for the last possession. He's just not that type of player. He should have been the guy standing in the corner, waiting for the open look, not a guy that's got to create a shot, with somebody right in his face. And you saw what happened there. So I thought that was, obviously the most disappointing part of this game. After, it doesn't take away from the effort. And Grant Williams is one of them. He had a very, very great game, 47 minutes, or borderline almost 48 minutes.
Yeah,
that's
why I think
take anything away from
him. He was so tired that he just couldn't make the decision. He saw Giannis and he just froze. And he couldn't make the right decision there. But
it's not even really Grant's fault. It's just that was the situation that he was kind of put in, and you can pass the blame pile around to whoever you want. I thought he was aggressive tonight too. I mean, everybody who played tonight, they knew what the assignment was. Make a statement. Don't let the Bucks think they can just waltz in. And the Celtics have been guilty of it on the other end. They've even admitted to it. Going up against a team that their star players are announced right before the game that they aren't playing, and they show up and they don't, have their foot in the gas. I think that was the Bucks to an extent, but I also got to give it to the Celtics. Everybody who played tonight, Blake Griffin on down.
Blake was huge.
Blake was huge, man. And I haven't even mentioned my guy, Mike the Moose Muscala. I mean, Giannis drove into a moose tonight. Giannis drove into a moose tonight, and he found out what happens, man. And yeah, again, they came up short. But Muscala, I wanted to see more Moose in the fourth quarter. I thought that Joe should have went back to him a little bit sooner. Dude, this guy
is Jimmy.
Great get.
I got to be honest here, man. When I was looking at the possible big men that were on the move and guys that are being mentioned heading to the Celtics. I mean, obviously, this is not a shocker here, but I didn't mention Muscala. I mean, it was something that crossed my mind.
But when
I heard the news, I was like, okay, well, he'll spot up, but I really wish they got one of those guys that's going to get in people's faces and get real rah guys, show some attitude, kind of piss off the other defenders, right, opposing team. And he surprised me. He got a tech for it, but I like that. I like that energy. He just joined the team, that rah moment. Again, he got a technical foul, but I feel like that's the kind of energy that this second unit has to have. I mean, when everyone's back, and this team is relatively healthy, and guys like Tatum and Brown are in the mix, are back into the lineup. I mean, he could be a guy that really rounds out this bench. I mean, obviously, I'm saying clearly I'm saying the obvious here, but I love that side of him, and I think if he shows more of that, man, he's gonna really grow on me. I mean, listen. I love these 18 points and making threes and all that. Obviously, you take that, man. It's a heck of a production, even though he's only been on the team for a week. But like some of that other stuff, and against the Bucks, I mean, these two teams are going to face off in the playoffs, and you need someone like that. You need that kind of energy. And this one's going to stick. This one's going to stay on the Bucks' mind for a bit. Even though it's a win, they're going to be like, man, that team, they're better. Like every time we play them, they look better. So that's good.
I mean, as it should, and I do want to get into Muscala a little bit later. Wait for Bobby to come on too, because I think he was pretty impressed with him tonight. And again, guys, Bobby is in Milwaukee tonight. He will be flying back tomorrow. He's trying to get home before the Pistons game. We'll see if he does. But man, that's another thing. Celtics after this shorthanded overtime game, they have to play another one tomorrow. That's going to be an interesting game. Some might say a scheduled loss. But we'll see about that. I want to get into Muscala because I didn't really get a chance to really get a good look at him the last couple of games. I've been away, but man, I was impressed with him tonight. So I do want to talk about him in a little bit. But it's just it sucks the Celtics couldn't pull off this win. This would have been the win of the year easily. This was a fun game, Josue. You mentioned it. You were cheering watching the TV. I was too.
A little bit.
And I typically don't. Not to try to act like a tough guy. I typically just watch the game, and I get fired up here and there. But I was loud tonight because I was fired up just about the effort that these
I didn't
guys
expect
played.
that Hauser three to drop, Jimmy. To
That
be
I mean
honest with you,
the
man.
Hauser three. I mean you have
I let a couple swears. I was like, man, where did that come from? I was like, whoa.
if you didn't
I was
react to
setting up
that.
everything. I'm like, oh, we're about to go live. Like,
If you
that
didn't
was
react to that,
smooth.
you don't have a pulse. You might need to check yourself right now. But even
He
just
launched
first
that thing,
quarter on.
especially in his hometown. Good for him, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about the hometown thing. First quarter on, this game was shaping. I didn't know if the Celtics could keep it up, the intensity and the effort that they had. But in the first quarter, it didn't go away. It was just an entertaining game.
Right.
It was, you know what it was, Josue? It was a team game, and I think that's what a lot of people loved about this game tonight. It wasn't, and yeah, Derek White was aggressive. Derek White, 10 of 24, had a couple of shots that I didn't love late in the game. But again, he was the guy that kind of took the reins of the shooter tonight. And Brogdon had an up and down game coming off the bench. I thought he did have a couple of big shots, but some sloppiness too. I think the Celtics in general. The sloppiness late in the game ended up, I think, kind of being the difference. 3 turnovers for Brogdon, 5 for Grant, including the obvious one that we already talked about. I think that did kind of bite them towards the end. They protected the ball so well in the first half. I think they only
Yeah.
had 2 turnovers in the first half, something like that.
And they
I
were
mean,
playing defense, man. Like
they were,
they were every possession
yeah,
mattered to them. Like that was
right.
huge.
But Derek White, we have the graphic up here, 27 points, 10 of 24 from the field, 3 of 12 from 3. You don't love that. 12 assists,
Damn, he took 12
which,
threes. I thought it was less than that.
yeah, he had a couple. He had a couple heat checks too. I didn't like though. I told our producer Ahmed that right after he took a bad 3 in overtime, man. Like it just felt like it wasn't the one he hit.
Yeah, I know
That
which
was
one
a
you're talking
good
about.
3. That was a good 3 because they gave it to him. He was right up on the 3-point line and he sunk it. The one
Someone said
after
Justin
that,
Jackson. Someone said Justin Jackson would never. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
true. The one he took shortly after that, I didn't like it at all. I thought they could have found a much better shot, worked the ball around, I wouldn't drive, attack, something. He bricked it,
Yeah,
and the rest is history. But
I think
Derek
they
White,
surprised
man,
themselves with that lead, Jimmy. I think they were like,
yeah,
"Whoa, are we up
right,
7?" Like that happened
yeah.
quickly. Like,
Derek White, he got his Player of the Week honors, well deserved. This is a guy that's really, really turned it on since Marcus Smart has gone down. I mean, and we've been critical of him over the year. It's been about a year now, right? They acquired him at the trade deadline last year.
yep, it just had
Um,
his anniversary.
exactly, and I think a few of us, me and John specifically, were very critical of his offense all of last season as Josue disappears. I don't know what happened. Where is he? Oh, no, no, no. I'm not. All right, put it on. Put
Oh,
it on.
someone
Put it
set
on. You
you
can
up,
put it
Jimmy.
on. I thought Josue. I thought I lost Josue for a second, but no.
I literally thought we were getting hijacked. I'm not gonna
This
lie.
is a mini
Someone's taking over
apology.
our show.
This is a
We
mini
have a hacker.
apology only because I've been a fan of Derek White's this year. I think he has added. You know why I don't want to apologize? Because I was right about Derek White last year. I said he stunk on offense, and guess what? He did.
Oh
So wait
man.
a second. What am I apologizing for? He stunk last year, and now he's much better this year on offense. So I'm not apologizing.
In
Actually,
the
I just
spirit of
reversed.
Valentine's Day, you sound like the boyfriend who was like mid apology was like, wait a minute, like
Yeah.
this wasn't even that bad. Why am I using my apology card on this one? This isn't it.
Josue, that's a good point. This is probably why I'm sitting here with you tonight doing
Yeah,
doing
this
the
is
show
why
on Valentine's Day.
Jimmy and
Because
Josue are hosting Valentine's Day.
that was a
Like
quick
John
look
stepping
at
that
that was a quick look at my apologies that have gone wrong over the years. But honestly though,
half
Derek White's having
apology.
an
It's not bad.
unbelievable Derek White's having an unbelievable season. I mean, if I was critical of Derek White for the last 20 games, I'd be an idiot, and yeah, I'd be apologizing right now. But this is clearly the guy that the Celtics saw when they traded for him last year, and now we're starting to see it. And of course, his role's different, right? He's got a bigger role. He's being asked to be more aggressive, and he's letting sort of that in-game momentum. He's riding that in-game momentum. A lot of times, we've seen him in a reserve role come in, miss a couple of shots, and then the whole thing goes up in smoke. It's just not a game where you even notice Derek White's a part of. So obviously tonight that wasn't the case. This is like what Ben Simmons, like, why can't Ben Simmons do something like this? You know what I mean? Like why?
Yeah.
Like if Ben Simmons is the only guy on the team that anyone's ever heard of now, but yet they still can't get the guy to shoot. That's what I don't want to get about Ben Simmons. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but credit Derek White for understanding the role change, accepting it, and doing everything he can and pacing the team. And it's not just points. The 12 assists is another huge number for him. So love what I'm seeing out of Derek White, sort of leading the charge tonight. We talked about Grant. Obviously, what everyone's going to remember is the turnover, but this was a more aggressive Grant tonight too. He was physical down low. He 2 of 4 from 3. Certainly that's around the numbers that we saw from him in the beginning of the season. Grant's been a guy that's really struggled this season. The report came out, I think I saw it earlier today, that he's reportedly still looking for around $20 million a year.
Yeah, his agent's like, yo, you need to back up that report and ball out tonight.
Yeah. I want to also say that I'm also looking for $20 million a year. So just if we're all looking for $20 million a year, we might as well put it out there. But 12 points for Grant, 4 of 10 from the field. I don't know if maybe the trade deadline being passed is maybe these guys were thinking a little bit too much about the trade deadline, hearing their names in some rumors, whatnot, and now that they can sort of breathe a little bit, this is our team, and this is the team that we're going to war with sort of down the stretch. It certainly felt that way tonight. It felt like this team, it almost kind of felt like 300, like Sparta, severely undermanned and just kind of just doing everything they can to compete. Loved it. And again, they took an L. I hope it doesn't come back to bite them in the seedings when it comes to head-to-head matchups and all that stuff, because obviously, we know why the Bucks won this game, because they had everybody and the Celtics didn't, although the Celtics did put up the fight. So I'm torn. I'm usually not a glass half full guy. Shocker. But tonight I will be. Thank God John's not on this show, because I don't know what negative spin. Actually, I do know the negative spin he would have put on it. We haven't even talked about it yet. And maybe I will in honor of John. One guy we haven't mentioned on this show.
What, tonight, you got one of his takes?
I don't have one of his takes. I just know that he would have already mentioned this by now. And it's the fact that Rob Williams played 12 minutes, was
he would have led with this, actually.
Just 6 points, 5 rebounds, missed a alley-oop that kind of changed the whole tone of things. I mean, the old Rob would have thrown that thing down with authority and maybe torn the rim off. Instead, he catches the lob and he misses it, and then the Bucks go down on the ensuing possession, and they get 2 of their own. 4-point swing. We probably don't even have a Rob Williams graphic, which is fine, because he was such a no. I don't know if we have a Rob or not. You tell me, producer Ahmed and producer Tim. But regardless, we don't need one, because his stats really aren't even worth talking about. It's just the fact that after the game that he had, you had some reason to think, okay, Rob's taking a turn here. This is going to be, I'm talking about the previous game. And then tonight, you get the word that he's might not play, then he does play, but clearly there's some pain going on there. I mean,
I think
this is a concerning level, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a test for the Celtics to see where he stands when he plays, that many games in what?
We're not doing a Rob graphic. We're not doing a Rob graphic tonight, because
it's not worth it. We're just talking about him. I mean, we talk about Rob a lot, so we'll have graphics for him in the future. But no, I just think that this was a good test for him, and I don't think he did well. I mean, obviously, you see that in the box score, but you also see it in the eye test, man. That's what concerns John the most, right? I mean, that's what I've been worried about. I mean, I don't know what Rob's going to look like by the end of the season and going into the playoffs, and I don't think the Celtics know either. And I think that's why they've given Joe Mazzulla options here to try to complement Rob, almost overshadow the fact that he's not looking better than we've expected, at least until this point, right? I mean, All-Star break is this weekend, and we're not at a point where we're like, okay, he's making a significant stride. Now, he does have his nights where he'll grab his 12, 13 rebounds, and he won't have that many that many dunks that we used to see last year. But you also just not seeing that same type of aggression down low. And I think a lot of it has to do as well with him trying to be a better finisher around the rim and be a finesse. That type of guy who can make a quick move and get to the rim, and not just rely on his hops, because that's something he's gonna have to adjust to this season, because he's not
hops, man. What hops?
I don't.
There ain't no hops, man. He's looking like a non-alcoholic beer out there.
But that's the thing, Jimmy. He's trying to find ways to.
Ain't no barley.
He's trying to find ways to finish around the hoop, and it's not working for him. He doesn't have the footwork down. He's going through it. He's going through it. He has to adjust to
Like
this, you know,
duels.
because it's not going to get any better, you know, especially when you have a week off. Again, I think this is a test, and his body's not responding right now.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I've said it on the show many, many times. Sorry, Lucas. Well, we'll make sure we get him on here again soon. I've said it on the show many times. Rob just
Lucas will be all right.
Doesn't look himself for long enough period of time together, right? We don't see it consistently, and it has to make you. I know a lot of people are going to say he's just not back yet. He's not ready yet. He'll be there. He'll get there. I feel like we've been saying this since Rob entered the league, in one case or another, in one way or another, right? Whether it's this injury or another injury, or you know he's on a time minutes restriction or what. Aside from like, I think one stretch of his career where he did have, you know, what do you want to call it, a month or two, a couple months of just like consistent, effective basketball where with him and Tatum had a good thing going. Have you seen him and Tatum have a good thing going this year? I haven't. Tatum used to gush over Rob.
I know, but what I have seen is before, not too long ago, when he was missing games again, he was looking for him. You know, those bounce passes down low in the paint and trying to get him as soon as the double team come. Not just alley-oops. I mean, obviously that's his go-to as well, but they're trying to implement him. They've tried. You know,
and defensively, you do see him affect the game. Obviously, defensively, you still do see it. My problem is I don't see it for long enough. I don't see it for long enough stretches in games. Sometimes I don't see it for long enough stretch of games. But we can see the difference when he's in there. We do see how he affects shots. We do see how he grabs rebounds and gets the team out in transition, right? We do see all those things.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that player doesn't exist. I've seen it. I see it in spurts. But my concern is that, you know, he puts together a performance like he did over the weekend, and then he's in pain the next game, and he can't. You know, he's 50% of the guy he is. If a healthy Rob tonight, the Celtics win this game, or even a 75% Rob, a guy that can give you 20 minutes tonight. Rob can give you 20 effective minutes. The Celtics might win this game. You know, I mean, they're at the point where they're just sticking him in to grab rebounds off of free throws. I mean, we're talking about a guy. We're talking about a guy.
Why was that though? Why? You know what? Better question. Why didn't we see Luke Cornett out there? You know, we saw him for what, 2 minutes?
I feel Muscala. Because Muscala.
Exactly. Muscala had it, and Blake Griffin did. Man,
right,
15 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Like, look, that's what the Celtics are trying to do right now. If Rob doesn't have it, they're not going to be like, oh, we're screwed. We got to go small now. They want to have options. So. Yeah,
I'm happy that they listen. No one's happier than me that they went after and they got a guy like Muscala, who none of us even had on our radar. And I'm happy that they went to Blake tonight too, because I'm a huge Blake guy and I think that he does have some left in the tank. A commendable effort by Blake tonight, who doesn't seem to get the whistle half the times. But at the end of the day, Josue, you're playing a healthy Rob Williams over Muscala. Muscala played 43 minutes tonight. Is that a career high? It's got to be. I mean, it's got to blow his career high out of the water. It's probably double his career high for all I know.
I'm sure he did it in Atlanta, maybe.
43 minutes for Mike Muscala? I can't imagine a scenario where that has ever happened in the history of the NBA. Maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, this had to have been, if not his most minutes ever played. I need one of our producers to give me the numbers on that. I'm sure they will.
Hey.
But
Brad Stevens, he knows how to poach him, man. He knows how to poach him.
It's early, but it looks like Brad Stevens found another diamond in the rough, and we should have known. We honestly, I don't know how any of us didn't think about this.
I know, right? You know what? From moving forward, no more of the names in the reports. No more of the big names.
No more of those names. Are you talking about a borderline 7-foot big man who shoots threes, who is on a cheap salary, getting no playing time, on a team that the Celtics have a history of trading with? And we never heard his name mentioned once.
Put it this way, Jimmy. Any big that's shooting near 40%, it's on Brad's radar. From 3, excuse me. Shooting 40, anywhere near 40%, it's on Brad's radar, especially a big. So, yeah, we missed out on that one.
There it is, official. Producer Amit comes in and says, says that Muscala's previous career high for minutes was 38 against the Jazz. On April 7th, 2019.
I knew it, man. And, almost.
So again, career high for Muscala tonight. And he earned those minutes. I mean, he was effective. Honest to God, he was effective against Giannis. He was
That's
the
why we're
guy
gonna
that
see
was he
Luke.
was the guy closest to Middleton on the last shot of regulation that was dangerously close to going in. I mean, Muscala defended him as best as anybody could have off that curl, and I think this guy is. I want to say this before Bobby comes on, but I don't know how much Luke Cornett we're going to see if Mike Muscala is playing the way he did tonight. Fiery guy. Got a tee. I
Yeah.
think he got his. Did he get his first career tee? Did I hear that correctly? First career tee tonight, just for a little bark at the Bucks bench.
Jimmy's like I hit once. Let me try this again. Maybe I can get it again.
Just a little
But
bark at the Bucks bench. Gave him a tee, and you know what? Throw it down, big fella, and bark all you want. I'll take that tee.
he knows what's
Um,
up. He knows what they're playing for here. He's playing for bragging rights. He knows
so
what time it is
honestly,
against the
so
Bucks.
and honestly, if Muscala's going to give you that the effort that I saw from Muscala tonight might have been more effort and effectiveness, certainly on offense, than I've seen from Rob all season. I'll say it. I don't know if I'm going to get roasted for that or what, but I'll say it because I saw some fire out of him tonight. I saw, him everywhere he could have been, needed to be. Again, he's not the defensive stopper that Rob, or the defensive presence that Rob Williams is.
He did
But
all
if you're
right
not going
today,
to
though.
get Rob Williams, the best ability is what, Josue? Availability. Mike
Availability.
Muscala plays 44 minutes tonight, and
What
Rob
an
Williams
injury.
is sitting on the bench with 12. I mean, practically
Yeah.
4 times the amount of minutes. A little quick math for you guys at home. Um, and I'm not saying that Muscala is going to replace Rob, in the lineup
No,
if
I
Rob's
get what
healthy.
you're saying.
But it's a big if. So you might actually see Muscala in the starting lineup a lot more often than you
Yeah.
thought, because I don't know what I don't know if they know what they can expect from Rob. I really don't.
Yeah, they
So
don't. They don't. I
so
mean,
that ended
that
up
that
being
was that was
ended up
their
being a
mentality
huge
going to
trade.
the deadline. You know what I mean? Like that was their mentality. Like, they were
Yep.
going to address they were going to bring in a big man that was nothing like Rob, right? Like
Right.
someone's going to compliment him and hope that Rob can get it together. I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean? Like hopefully Rob's body will respond by the end of the season, going into the playoffs. I mean, we got to remember too, the playoffs is a long time, right? Starts in April, ends around Father's Day in June. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Shout out,
just
dads.
some of the Celtics fans who have already mentioned that. I mean, that's what it's really about, right? But in the meantime, the Celtics got options here, and that's a good thing.
Yep. Before we get Bobby on soon, I want to talk to you guys about our
Yeah, I want to know what
new
Joe said. What Joey said.
sponsor. Yeah, Bobby's going to have the full report on everything out of the locker room. I'm interested to hear what the guys have to say as well. Before we get to him, though, we are going to get to our new sponsor. That's right, folks. New sponsor alert. As I mentioned to you guys off the top, the episode of the Garden Report is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/garden, and you will get 10% off your first month and be on your way to your best self. As you guys know, besides hot basketball takes, we also want to bring you guys healthier options to your life, right? Whether it's physical, mental. We've had a lot of sponsors come in and out, and are still with us today that are beneficial to you guys in more ways than one. And BetterHelp might be one of the most beneficial if for those of you guys who take advantage of it. Everybody knows what their best self is, right? Everyone's got their own best version of themselves. We hear that saying a lot. Sometimes though, life gets in the way. People have personal things come on through their lives, and it throws them for a loop, throws them off their game a little bit. Maybe they're overwhelmed with something. Maybe they're down about something that happened. There's literally a million things that could sort of cause you to sort of get off track a little bit. And BetterHelp is available to line you up with a therapist that can kind of help you get back on track. Um, I haven't actually used BetterHelp, but I will say this: I actually do go to a therapist, Josue. I've been going to one for almost 2 years now, and if I
That's what's up.
knew if I had known about BetterHelp at the time, I probably would have found one a lot sooner and a lot easier. Because the thing is, when you find yourself in a situation where you do need a therapist, sometimes it can be hard to A, admit it, and B, find one. And if you can get rid of that B part or make it a lot easier for yourself, BetterHelp is the way to do that. I would recommend anybody who's kind of going through something, give it a try. It's convenient, it's flexible, it's affordable, and it's entirely online. So all you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire, and you can get matched up with a therapist, and you're on your way. So yeah, thank you for the person who said that. At one
Yeah, man,
point,
that's what's up.
a couple years ago, man, I just
I didn't know that.
stuff happens, and you find all of a
Definitely.
sudden you find it hard to get out of bed in the morning, right? Or you find it hard to go to work, or you find it hard to even reach out to people that you used to talk to all the time. And taking that first step is just kind of admitting that maybe, you know what, I'm not myself.
Mm.
I need some help. And this is the type of thing that can get you right back on track. I'm not saying that there's a one-stop shop to make you a perfect person, but there's a process involved, right? So for a lot of people, this would be step number one. So if you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/garden today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, Help. So betterhelp.com/garden. 10% off your first month. Get your lives back on track, guys. Don't think you're a tough guy. Don't think you're a tough guy and that therapy's this, therapy's
Yeah,
that. No.
yeah.
It's
Nothing tough
not, man.
about not seeking help and not trying to
It's
be a better
cool.
person,
Honestly,
man.
it's a quick
Yeah.
little convo. However often you need one, I'm sure you can set up, your schedule any way you would like, and see what happens. It certainly can't hurt. No one has ever gotten worse from a little therapy. I think we can all
Right.
agree with that. So,
Right.
with that being said, we'll get back into it. I think Bobby is going to be with us shortly. He's wrapping up some post game.
Yeah, he said he's on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna get him back on. Who haven't we showed any love? Have we missed anybody tonight, Josue, that you want to focus on, or anything you
I
want to
mean,
focus on?
can we talk a little bit more about Blake? I mean, is this one of those like, okay, he's gonna do this every 4 or 5 games, and then maybe you have him in the playoffs as someone that can actually keep up with Giannis? Because I was impressed with some of these stops he put up. I mean, look, even after halftime, I mean, fresh Giannis coming out of the locker room, he stayed in front of him, and it was clean. It wasn't, they're really trying to get it down to a science as to how to guard Giannis without picking up fouls. And I thought he did a really good job of taking away space and
Hmm.
closing out. I mean, it's something to keep an eye on. But again, another weapon for Joe Mazzulla in the front court, and maybe someone you throw minutes to every once in a while, right?
Yeah, it's
Maybe
weird
so
when they get
often,
away
right?
from him completely, isn't it? Like he goes like games and games with just
He'll just
DMPs.
like not play for like 10 days and then come back sometime, and
Yeah,
then
I,
yeah,
I don't think he's there at his career. I don't think he's at that point. I think he showed that tonight. This is against a team that they brought everything tonight, right? I mean, you're talking about banging with some big boys down there tonight. Brook Lopez, Giannis, Holiday's a big dude. Middleton's got size. Ingles has got size. Him and Ingles
oh,
got a
Middleton was
little.
a killer, man.
Yeah,
Middleton was a killer
Middleton, man. I mean,
always,
he's a
but yeah.
he's a guy that they have. I think that I hear they haven't lost since Middleton came back.
That's
So,
right. 11 game winning streak. And you know what else too, Jimmy? The only reason why you didn't see him in overtime, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was on a minutes restriction. He just came back from injury. So,
yeah. So,
I mean,
I mean,
Celtics
yeah,
took advantage
yeah.
for about 3 minutes of that
I know,
overtime
I
of
know, I know.
that.
So again, Blake didn't do it against some scrubs. This wasn't a game where they tossed him
Exactly.
in for garbage time
Exactly.
against nobodies.
That's how I should have put it, actually. Yeah, right.
Yeah, this was a legitimate opponent, performance, and I think one of the things I love about Blake Griffin, he's a gamer, man. I mean, he's tough. He wants to win. He's always been a professional. He's never been a guy that's been in the news for the wrong reasons or been thought of as a bad teammate. I think he was I think a lot of people were surprised when the Celtics made that signing. I wasn't super surprised. I thought it was more of a locker room thing. It seemed like right off the bat he had a great connection with some of the guys, Tatum and whatnot. But I also said, hey, I mean, I think there's a bit of a sour taste in his mouth from the way the season, and certainly the way it ended in Brooklyn last year. I imagine that the locker room and just the organization is a complete 180 from what he went through in Brooklyn. I mean, you can just
Right.
look at that roster right now and tell me that I'm wrong. I dare you to. Um, so this is a guy that
Remember
wants
those
it.
like remember those subtle jabs he was making? Like it's
Yeah,
like I don't even think he meant to actually. I didn't say subtle, but like he was like subconsciously being like, it's way better here. Like last year was
yeah,
rough. Like he made it so obvious. Yeah.
yeah. It's something I think that it's good for. I think he has certainly the right attitude. I think he really, really badly wants to win, and after probably experiencing some of those DMPs, um, the thing I like about him is he just has the right attitude. He's
Right.
just ready to play. And this is a guy that used to be one of the most popular players in the NBA. So it takes a lot to sort of accept that role change and accept that you're not that guy anymore, but you can still add value to this team. You can still contribute when called upon, and he's ready. And that's what being a professional is all about. And speaking of always being ready and being a professional, welcome to the show.
The Zannis intro, the Zannis intro. Hey,
welcome to the show, Bobby Manning, everybody.
Wow, what a game!
Is that leather, Bobby?
There he is. Yeah, Bob. Who are you wearing, man? You look good, man. I like that hair. Is that a little Conan?
You got the Fawn jacket on in Milwaukee?
Little Conan hairstyle going on there.
Wow. Turtleneck, the classic, and
Bobby turtleneck.
Just a regular winter coat.
It's like a modern day.
So,
what a game, Bob. Yeah, take a deep breath and take us through this a little bit here.
Yeah, let me take you through post game because it was something else.
Would love to hear.
Oh yeah, man.
Just a few minutes ago. Came down, typical, rush to the podium from the upper decks here. It's kind of a long walk to the post-game room here in Milwaukee, but we were pretty prompt getting down there. And we're walking through the hallway, and Mazzulla is darting past us. Says, "See you guys." He's taken off of the bus. We're like, "Whoa, what? Like what?"
Really?
He had gone to the podium and talked for about 2 minutes to Abby, and took off.
Interesting. So we could
Abby only? She was the only person in the room?
Bobby? Did we lose Bobby?
You hear us?
Bobby, speak.
I think he just hit Mike or something.
You there,
Someone
dude?
said Bobby just sold me drugs. It was just Abby? No one else was in that room?
Yeah. So she got there because she did her walk off.
Bobby just
came
glitched.
Down a couple minutes late, and he stopped. We got him to stop, and he took a couple questions in the hallway. But
oh wow,
very very short exchanges. Jay King asked him about Robert Williams' minutes. He said no reason. Was it matchup related? No. He never comes off the bench. That's not true. Not since he got off the minute restrictions. Yes. So what was the purpose of the change? Just felt like making it. And you'll see the exchanges that followed throughout the video up on CLNS Media now. But Joe was not happy. Gave us a few minutes in the hallway. Didn't say a ton. And then the one thing he did say is that he should have called timeout on that breakdown play at the end where Grant turned it over.
That's what we said, Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about that.
They had 2 timeouts, man.
Wow,
they had
Wait,
2 timeouts.
Hold on, Jimmy. So wait, he said this is just all based on the bus?
I don't know what it was about.
Here's a question.
We weren't there fast
Here's a
enough.
question. Here's a question.
So you guys did a makeshift scrum in the hallway?
We did a makeshift scrum in the hallway. Yeah.
That's
what's
weird.
gonna happen? The Celtics team plane's gonna leave without Joe Mazzulla?
I don't think it was about the bus, Joe. Jimmy. I think he was frustrated.
Sure.
Is that the joke?
You know what?
I don't know.
But being frustrated is part of it. You need to be. You should be frustrated. You just blew the. I wouldn't say blew the game, but in a way you did. You had a chance to win it, and you didn't. And the bottom line is, Bobby, we sent you all the way out there to talk to Joe Mazzulla after the game about this win, and he tries to skirt you. That's not a great look.
Yeah, for real.
I have
great look for him.
What's up with that?
Have you, Jimmy? You
always
covered the team for quite a few years. Have you ever seen a coach duck out of the post-game presser?
Josue has done it probably just as long, and I can't speak for him, but I can definitely speak for myself. I have never
no.
Have I missed a post-game presser? Yes, I have, because sometimes I just can't get down there on time, and they do go quick sometimes. But to only speak to the team reporter and nobody else, no, that's never happened.
No, same. That's why I'm shocked. I'm so confused right now. Like I don't get how he got away with it. Like at the end of the day, it's like
I do.
That's the obligation, right? You have to speak to the.
Well, he did speak, but
it
was just a weird setup.
Yeah,
well, no, I know, but it seemed the way you make it sound like though is like if you guys didn't catch him in the hallway,
if we didn't catch him, he would have been gone. Yeah,
he would have been gone. That's
that
not making yourself available to the media.
I'll tell you what. You know what, Bobby? You probably saved him a lot more trouble by talking to him briefly. If he had skirted you guys and nobody was able to speak to him.
Bobby would have got the exclusive, yo. He would have chased that.
No, that would have been a horrible look for him, and that probably would have been.
Yes, I know, that's true.
Something the NBA may have had to have stepped in that situation, possibly. I don't know. But regardless, it would have been a tough look if every reporter who went there, except the team reporter, didn't get a chance to talk to him.
I swear,
So
Joe
it sounds like
he tries so hard to not make it like they make the narrative about the coach. Like it's almost as if like he's like, I don't want any of the attention, but doing stuff like this does the exact opposite.
Well,
Like
you know what?
you have to hold yourself accountable, right? You have to say what happened. You have to explain what happened. And if you show any signs of like if you're hesitant in doing that, people are gonna call you out even more. I just don't understand why he hasn't figured that out yet. You know? I don't know.
The
You know what
exchanges
I don't
keep
like
getting
about
more.
it?
The exchanges keep getting more tense with the media. I mean, he clearly doesn't like that part of the job, which many coaches don't.
Right.
But
It's like it's not every time. It's like
yeah,
it's not little by
it
little.
keeps escalating.
It's
And
not gradual.
pregame, he didn't share much about he didn't share much about the injuries. Some frustration back and forth before the game when it came to the long injury list and trying to explain where everybody's at. We obviously went through that on Sunday, Josue, with him. So I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go. It's tough, Jimmy, right? A lot of coaches, a lot of players, a lot of people in this market have difficulty with the scrutiny sometimes. And I think he's going through that. Even through a successful season. I mean, imagine if this was going poorly, how it would be.
I know, right? Remember what Ime went through?
Good point. It's a good point. You know what I just want to say briefly is that what I don't like about it is that the coach is supposed to lead by example, right? So if you're gonna duck the media or be short with the media or borderline disrespectful, however you want to look at it, your players are gonna see that and say, well, if he's gonna do it, then I'm gonna do it, or I must be okay to do. So now what? Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or whoever feels that they can, short responses or no responses or not, show up for what is basically required of them to do. But, like it or not, when you sign a contract with the NBA, that's part of the deal. It's not just after wins, it's after losses too. It's not just after drawing up game-winning plays, it's after failing to call a timeout in a situation where your guy is being practically double teamed and then throws it to probably the only player that you didn't want the ball in his hands. I would imagine Joe's very frustrated with himself because as a head coach, he should have acknowledged that right away and called the timeout. Not wait for Grant Williams to fumble around with the ball and turn it over. Completely unnecessary. You had 2 timeouts off of a made basket. The crowd's all up in arms and crazy after that play. And the Celtics, as we mentioned earlier, Bobby, it's not a situation where they can just give the ball to Tatum or Brown and say, okay, do your thing, They're trying to work the ball around. They're moving, the way they got to where they were tonight was working the ball around, finding the open man, drawing up plays, being aggressive. They're not, and I again, credit to Derek White for sort of taking
incredible
the reins
game from White
and being that guy. But he's still not regularly that guy where you'd say, okay, Derek, do your thing. We're just going to, play ISO ball and let you run the show. Call a timeout. Drop a play. Make a substitution if you want to get, if you want to take out a guy like Grant or Muscala or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, you have 2 timeouts. At the very least, give the guys maybe give them a breather. I mean, we're talking about 48 minutes for Grant Williams. No wonder he turned the ball over. The guy can probably barely breathe at that point. So
you knew.
That had to become a factor.
If I'm Joe Mazzulla, I'm frustrated as hell too. But I'm not running out of the arena before any of the media can ask me about it. I'm not running away from my guy G Money, Gary Washburn, because I'm scared that Gary Washburn is going to ask me a good question, and I'm not going to like what the answer is. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna face the music, just like the players have to face the music. Did you hear from any of the players tonight, Bob?
Yeah, Derek, Grant, Sam, quite a few players spoke after Malcolm, and they put it on themselves. Derek said he should have shot it. Grant said he shouldn't have hesitated and shot it. They all said it wasn't on Joe to call the timeout there. They messed up that play. Talking about that play specifically, I think you made a good point, Jimmy, in terms of those guys not being in the best positions to make those plays in those moments. Like, White's not a guy who wants to launch aggressive shots from above the arc with pressure on him. Grant, I think we've seen, has a tough time with those hard closeouts he's been receiving. So why not put the ball in Brogdon's hands there? And that's probably
Brogdon was calling for it.
And set up. Yeah,
kind of. He was like half-heartedly calling for it. I thought he could have done a little bit more to get open.
He has that little step back move that he can get the 3 off with.
Yeah, but
in that moment.
If you're Grant, you got 2 options there.
Hauser buried himself in the corner and didn't move. Muscala buried himself in the other corner and didn't move. I don't think enough guys were moving.
Muscala
if you're
took a tough
Grant,
shot
I mean, how
late,
many
too.
times have you been in these
He did.
situations, man? Like you got two options. You either shoot it or you pass it off. As soon as you put the ball on the
Quick
floor,
decisions. This offense is all about quick decisions, and they held
but
it
when
too long.
Giannis saw that ball on the floor, he was like, "Oh, this is it. The game's over." Like he was all over Grant because he knew as soon as you put that ball on the floor, I'm taking away the space, and you can't handle this pressure with 6 seconds on the clock.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough end to a game where they play incredible, as I'm sure you guys talked about, and got themselves there with a super decisive ball movement that created awesome shots throughout. But was a little 3-point reliant again. And what happens into halftime? They go 0 of 8. Big drought toward the end of the fourth had them scrambling to catch up there and basically shooting a heave before the buzzer from Hauser there to tie it. They start hard in overtime. I thought when they built that 5-point lead, it was over. But then a couple free throws. Bucks kept playing really aggressive, putting the pressure on the Celtics defensively. And I think too often throughout this game, Celtics were settling for jumpers. And
Bobby, you're muted again or something. We lost you.
goes back to conversations we've had a handful of times.
Volume sounds weird, or your sound sounds weird now.
And then the spaghetti will be in
Goes back to conversations we've had throughout this season a handful of times about the amount of threes and the reliance on the threes, the fades. Like 50 attempts in this one, right? And they're looking for another one late in that spot.
Yeah.
The big difference, I think, tonight, and Holiday did hit his own share of threes. He was incredible shooting the ball tonight, 8 for 12. That's probably as good of a night as he's ever had. But he also got downhill aggressively. Giannis certainly did. Shot 19 free throws, missed some big ones, and just kept going there. Those incredible passes out of double teams. Listen, we know the difference in players who are on the court tonight, but this one came down to late game execution, and I think the Bucks came through a little bit more decisive with calling timeouts, with drawing plays up, with putting their heads down after heavy minutes and going to the basket. Sure, these Celtics players aren't used to playing 40 minutes. I remember that game in Miami a month ago. Peyton Pritchard was telling me like he had no legs left at the end of that game. That was a game where he had to play 40 minutes. You look at some of these totals tonight on the Celtics side, 47 for Grant. That's got to be his season high. 43 for Muscala after just coming over in a trade.
Career high.
40 for Hauser. 43 for White. Just monster minutes.
Yeah.
Brogdon played 40 as well. So these guys aren't used to this. And there's no doubt that Holiday, Giannis are more suited for that than these guys.
And you could tell, Bobby, the way that some of the turnovers were occurring late in the game, that it was just these guys were winded. I mean, credit to them; they were still diving for the ball, but at the end of the day, like you said, these guys, Giannis, Holiday, they're more conditioned for these games. They just are. Grant Williams, career high in minutes tonight with 48 minutes. So Muscala with career high, Grant Williams with a career high. Hauser must be close to a career high. I don't know. I mean, 40 minutes is pretty freaking high up there for a guy like Hauser. 39 for Brogdon. Yep, there it is. 39 minutes for Hauser is a career high as well. So, I mean, we haven't even mentioned it, but these guys have to play in like 18 hours. Like, I don't know. I would not, I'm not even going to talk about, we don't talk about gambling on this show, but if we did, it would be a tough game to gauge because these guys are playing what's called a scheduled loss. Second night of a back-to-back, heading back home. So you're traveling in between. You play overtime, and you already had a short roster to begin with. So tomorrow could be ugly.
Lock that up.
I wouldn't look too much into tomorrow if they lose that one, other than there's just tired legs. I don't. Again, maybe Tatum comes back tomorrow.
I think Tatum might play. Joe kind of hinted at something changing this week.
He said he's not ruled out, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I mean, they're going to need something like that to happen for sure.
The plan was originally to sit him Wednesday, but they ended up sitting him the night, of course.
But I will say this real quick.
Horford said he plans to play tomorrow as well.
Okay, great. I was going to say it's great if those guys play, but the
one thing
the Celtics can do, regardless,
Rob today,
is if they take their athletic greens tomorrow morning, that could be the boost that they need to get them over the hump on the second night of a back-to-back. And as you guys all know, Athletic Greens is a great sponsor of ours. If you head over to athleticgreens.com/garden, you will get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. As you guys know, high-tech athletic greens. I'm pretty sure Josue and Bobby do. Certainly, it looks like they do. These guys are glowing, feeling good, looking good, playing good.
Can't you tell? Right.
75 vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, my favorite word, prebiotics, probiotics. Talking about gut health, people. Get your guts in gear, okay? This isn't a joke.
Get your gut health up.
We're coming at you guys at all angles. We're giving you the mental health. We're giving you the physical health. We're doing everything we can to help you. So help us help you, okay? Head over to athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You don't have to subscribe to this, guys. It's great if you do, but you can just do a one-time purchase. Give it a shot for 30 days. You get the travel packs. I have the travel packs. I just went away to Park City for a few days, so I wasn't on the show for the last couple. Tossed a couple travel packs in my bag, popped them in every morning before I hit the slopes. I was bombing down the mountain, absolutely shredding the gnar from top to bottom. I burned Park City to the ground, and I have to give Athletic Greens a little credit for that. So I think that's a great way to sort of spring on your health. Get your greens. We're not eating enough vitamins and vegetables. I mean, enough fruits and vegetables. We're not eating enough vitamins probably either. So do this, get started, and get on your way. All right, back to the game. Bobby, where were you going with that before I cut you off immediately?
We were talking about threes, right?
Probably,
Yeah,
but I'm
sure.
bored of that. I'm bored of that topic. What did you think of Muscala tonight? Or in general?
Great early. First half was incredible. 10 points in 5 minutes. Him and Derek White formed an instant connection tonight. Cuts to the basket. Surprising from him. Didn't expect that to be as big of a part of his game as it was here tonight. They had an awkward pick and roll at one point, but that cutting dunk over Giannis, and he stares him down and draws the tee. Wasn't expecting that last week when they landed him, and
I
the
love
aggressive
that.
pull-ups.
Bobby, what was I saying about that? What was I saying about the kind of player I wanted the Celtics to go out and get? He's showing that side of the side of Muscala I didn't know existed. I love that.
Dude, how could you not be fired up if you're Mike Muscala? I mean, this guy basically just rose from the dead.
Yeah.
Talking about being buried on the bench in Oklahoma City.
Now he's on national TV balling out against Giannis and the Bucks.
Yeah. No, exactly. You're on national TV. You're dunking on dudes. You're barking at the bench. You're getting teed up. You got a little swagger. You get a little swagger to you now, right? So I love it. That's not Mike Muscala. That's Mikey Moose. That's a whole different guy. That's Mikey Moose.
I think
that's Moose music right there, baby. We call you hear his name called.
We saw the Moose tonight.
The Moose
is
loose.
From, but yeah,
the Moose was loose tonight, man. The Moose was running. I'll tell you what. Giannis drove into a moose tonight, and he found out what happened. You don't drive into a moose. They are moose crossing signs for a reason. So I like that addition, and this is the first game I really got to really watch him play, and I don't expect everyone to go this way. And we kind of mentioned it. I'm not going to go there yet, but I am going to mention it at some point. But Muscala coming in a huge situation where he's needed because of the lack of available and capable bigs tonight. And I'm not just talking about Al Horford, Bob. And I'm not talking about Luke Cornett. I'm not going to even bring him in. I'm not going to bring him up because I know that's probably sad for you to think about. But I want to talk about the fact that Rob Williams really couldn't do much contributing tonight. And are you hitting that panic button, or have you already hit it, or will you hit it right now? Hit the panic button. I want to see you hit it.
Startling night from him. He goes to the bench on a night where you're shorthanded in the front court. Weird look off the bat. They start Grant, Muscala, and Blake Griffin over him. Plays a rough stint in the first quarter. Comes in for 3 plays in the second quarter. Sits the rest of the first half. Then comes in the third and botches an alley-oop from Derek White. And
shout out Dave.
Just, again, looks uninvolved. There was a play or two in that quarter where he passed up looks underneath. He tried to post up, I think, Grayson Allen at one point and shot this awkward turnaround jumper over him. Then there was another play where, again, I see some people starting to use the name, and I hate to do it because I think that's a whole different world with the guy in Brooklyn's going through, Ben Simmons. But when he's standing on the three-point line, Brook Lopez is at the basket guarding him, and the offense just stops. That's where I think Rob's night ended. And Joe didn't explain it much, but I have to imagine this was a strategic decision playing Rob less tonight, opting for more spacing with Blake Griffin,
That's what I was thinking.
Mike Muscala, as well as Grant Williams, because they needed lanes for Brogdon and White to get to the basket. They didn't have Tatum and Brown to just tear their way in there. So you couldn't have Rob allowing Brook Lopez to stand at the rim. So this is strategic, and it goes back to this offensive concern we have about Rob. Some of it's physical, and we talked about that a lot on Sunday. Tonight was more about his deficiencies schematically on that end and skill-wise on that end to not be able to finish over smaller guys. I mean, if you can put a Grayson Allen on him
The alley-oop miss.
and allow Brook to just stand at the rim, you make Rob unplayable, even as good as he's been offensively. And I saw him third on the Defensive Player of the Year ladder today on NBA.com, which is pretty surprising.
I would say so, considering the amount of times he's played.
He wouldn't be in the top 100 on the Offensive Player of the Year category, maybe not even the top 200, because he is just really
startling, right?
At that end. Yeah.
So you don't even think it's health. You just think it's
I think it was all strategic tonight. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they were probably trying to as in an attempt to jumpstart his offense. They probably wanted him to go up against the secondary group, but he was struggling against them. I mean,
go against small ball. That's exactly what they did, Josue. They wanted him out there to offensive rebound against that group,
and then
power
Grayson
through
Allen's
smaller defenders.
Yeah,
and that's where his night ended. He couldn't finish over the smaller guys. And those plays where he's kicking out the 3-point shooters, he made a few good ones against Memphis, key assists in that game. Tonight, they hurt the offense. I think both those plays just turned into scrambles along the perimeter where they were either turnovers or bad shots late in the shot clock after he passed up good looks early on. That's where he's got to find his offense, on drop-offs at the rim. And numerous times in the second half, he passed those up, and I think it cost him in the end. 3 big plays throughout the flow of the game. We talked about the big ones at the end. But, of course, Drew Holiday's I think it was right before halftime, was it? His half-court shot?
Oh,
that was a big
right
one.
Right after the 3-point play, yeah.
And then those 2 Rob passed-up layups and the weird turnaround. A few of those plays piled up on them. They had a few big droughts in this game offensively, which is understandable with the personnel they had. But Rob's in a tough spot, and it goes back to what we've talked about with Double Big. Love that lineup, but how can you sit Derek White right now the way he's playing?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Once everyone comes back.
I think that helped him, being in that lineup with Tatum and Brown. But let's switch gears a bit.
But Derek White always – okay, sorry. I was going to say Derek White always was getting big minutes. Now he just has a big
you put your volume down there. Yeah, that's true. But no, let's talk about Hauser. I mean, Bobby, we talked about it Sunday, them trying to get him going and get him in the mix here, and maybe a reason why they didn't address that secondary wing position via trade. But are you still buying this? I mean, look, this type of performance from his hometown, hit the big shot to send the game into overtime. How relevant is this? I was thinking hometown and overtime.
Huge. I thought he saved them late. Not just the shot, a couple big defensive rebounds in traffic. He had the offensive putback when they were down 6 to get them a chance there after he had missed a 3 and Grant got blocked on the putback. He played aggressive, played assertive. He hit a ballsy shot. I mean, that was just nails.
I'm sure seeing that live, you were probably that's off, right?
That was an unbelievable shot.
I got a great video. It's up on Celtics CLNS on Twitter.
That arc was yeah, that was a great video. Good job, Bobby. Yeah.
So that was incredible. Best game of his career, I'll say. The boards, the defense, the scoring, and the timeliness of those baskets all set him up to be the hero tonight. And fortunately, it went against them in the final few minutes of overtime. But he's defending, he's rebounding, he's moving the ball in the flow of the offense. And you had so many good extra passes tonight from him, Muscala, Grant. It's incredible the kind of ball movement they generated tonight without Smart, without Brown, without Tatum. And it almost led to a win over maybe your biggest competition in the league on the road. And Hauser played a big part in that. So, I mean, credit to this front office. They really believed in him. And I think all of us rolled our eyes to some degree at him being a huge part of what they're doing here. He goes on that blazing hot start through the 21-5 record start to the year, and then just goes ice cold for 2 months, and even fades from the rotation at one point. But like you said, Josue, they don't bring anyone in to replace him. They start him when Brown and Smart go down, which was shocking to me. I thought they were going to start Brogdon when that happened. They start him, and he's been on fire ever since. Like 50% from three,
Yeah.
rebounding as well as he ever has, defending as well as he ever has, playing these massive, massive minutes. I mean, how far in the past? Remember when we thought like this is a guy who would just get targeted and played off the floor? He plays 40 minutes tonight against Giannis and Middleton. And
Well, Giannis
Holiday.
had his way with him.
And drop
to be fair,
coverage too. Like
Giannis did have his way with him.
him.
Fair, but not enough where you had to take him off the floor because offensively he was making it up on that end.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, yeah, they still had to play him, and the Bucks did what they could to create those mismatches, and there were situations where Hauser just had to straight up foul him or get out of
you're
the
right.
way.
Those mismatches played a bigger, especially the Pritchard ones when he came in.
Right.
He was
Yeah,
the one
that
who
was
was unplayable
not-
tonight.
Yeah, that was
Middleton was hunting. He was hunting Pritchard a couple times, and then he was just finding the mismatch. The same thing.
Look at this.
I thought-
Wow.
what?
Thanks, man.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Thank
man.
you, JB Zhang. You
No,
know what,
man,
JB
you're the
Zhang?
best.
I see him. I see
Thank
him.
you.
I see him in the comments often. So he's a good viewer of ours. So we appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much.
Much
Man,
appreciated.
In fact, it's
huge.
just us three. It's just us three tonight. So we're splitting that 3 ways. Don't put John's dirty paws on any penny. of
John's
that.
not getting a cent.
He's not getting a cent.
We all
He's-
that 33 cents too. We all that. Yes.
John couldn't make it tonight. I don't think he's going to be here tomorrow either. He must be really pulling out the stops for Valentine's Day or something. He must have been in the doghouse and had to go big for Valentine's Day. That's my guess. But we'll get him back here obviously
between all
soon.
the shows we've been doing, podcasts. I mean, he's been busy.
Yeah.
I will
So
say, I know a lot of people are sad, single on Valentine's Day. I'll tell you this: if I was,
wait, are you sad, Josue?
I'm good.
I
I
ain't
was just
sad.
I was just gonna say, I'm thrilled to be here in Milwaukee. I wouldn't be
Dude.
if it was. If I had
Bobby putting out
Valentine's
the
Day.
vibe in Milwaukee. What time is it over there? You
That-
still get to, you
That's
get to-
why. That's why you got the coat going and everything. I mean,
That's why
Bobby,
he's got the Bobby
Bobby's
turtleneck.
looking for. Let's see what's out there. Who's
I'll
who's
tell you what,
left?
Bobby, and everybody else watching. I mean, East Coast, it's probably too late, but if you're watching somewhere else, Valentine's Day is like the best night to go out as a single guy because everybody out, all the girls who are out, or guys, if that's your thing, they're single. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't be out. They're stuck with their
Yeah.
significant other, or they're going out to dinner or
They're at
whatnot.
dinner,
Everybody's out single.
yeah,
Everyone's just
vacation.
like, yeah, we're going out, F this. So it's actually a pretty sneaky good night to mingle. Anyways, that's getting a little bit off topic. That's a little tip for you, Bob, out in Milwaukee. I don't know what the people are like out in Milwaukee in terms of looks. I would probably say I don't know. Overall, I'd probably give that town like a 6 out of 10 at most. But
Wow, Milwaukee shade. We won't be
Is
getting
it-
any super chats.
I mean,
in
we're
the
talking-
bus.
They're not
talking
that
about-
off, Jimmy. They're not that off. Been out there quite a bit.
add Milwaukee to my list. France hates me. I think Canada hates me.
Jimmy
Milwaukee probably hates me.
You see a lot of
crosses off a
Celtics
box.
fans out there, though. I'll give them that. I'll give them credit because
Yeah,
they drive
They
out
don't.
from-
They're not in my. They're not in my. I'm talking about straight up Milwaukee.
Right, because
like,
they're driving from
how
St.
did we
Louis.
get
They're
here?
driving from
Yeah.
Chicago. Yeah.
Right. Anyways,
I do have an update tonight that's mildly concerning. Grant, of course, on the injury report with I think right shoulder, so his shooting arm is his right elbow. I forget how they described it, but he said he's having trouble bending it. He said he didn't really want to reveal too much and couldn't reveal too much, but he's just trying to play through it right now and hope that it recovers during the All-Star break. But he did say, the Lily did
Jeez.
reveal is that he's having trouble bending that elbow, so he didn't want to use it as an excuse. But it started a couple of games ago. He has to wear a brace and a wrap around it.
jeez.
How'd he
Okay.
end up playing
Something
in
to
this game
watch.
shooting-wise? He finishes
2 for 4 from
4-10,
three.
2 of 4 from 3. So he said it didn't impact him all that much tonight, but did leave him questionable. I saw him getting
Okay.
a lot of treatment on it in the locker room after. So we'll see what that's all
All right, keep
about.
an eye on. I wonder if he might be a guy that we see sit tomorrow after the amount he played tonight, and if he's going through some pain, we'll see. You know who had a weird game? Brogdon. Thoughts on that? Because I mean, you look at the box score, you see 24 points, but I think he was a minus 27 or something wild like that. Oh, sorry, minus 21 for Brogdon. I thought he had a couple tough turnovers. I don't know if the decision making was on point. He had that nice like 15-foot floater that was huge for them. I just thought it was an up and down game. I mean, certainly they needed him tonight coming off the bench, shorthanded, still coming off the bench. I guess it doesn't matter how many guys are missing for the team. He's going to come off the bench for them. But, 26 points. I mean, it's a guy that finds ways to score regardless. I just thought, maybe there were situations where he could have done a little bit better. But am I off on that, or am I watching something you guys aren't seeing?
Yeah, he fouls 5 times too. Isolation defense has been tough for him this year. I'd say that and finishing at the rim, 2 biggest areas of struggle for him this year, and he blew, I'd say, a handful of layups throughout this one again.
He did.
I
I've done all year. I can't figure it out. He had a couple of them went, and a couple of times they went back the other way and they scored. So I mean, that's your 4-point swing right there.
It's happening again.
Yeah,
you miss a layup, you're under the hoop, you can't get back in transition, and they score on you. You know what I mean? Like, that's tough.
Yeah, he shot 4 of 8 at the rim, and 2 of 7, or 2 of 6 rather, from 3. So not the best shooting night for him. He had to be extra aggressive, certainly with those guys out who were, but you saw him trying to go against some big shot blocking presences in the rim, and I think he's had a tough time generating leverage in there, especially against great post defenders. That probably halted him, forced some turnovers, and then defensively, I mean, I hate to knock him because he's been so important to them this year and he's helped them so much, but I think you do see the areas where he started to decline a little bit.
We got you, Ian.
Sorry, Ian.
Make sure to get that.
I'm taking that 75 cents for myself, or whatever it is, 66 cents.
I'd say, Jimmy, like athleticism, defense, and finishing have to be the 3 areas where we've seen a dip from him compared to his previous form. I'm sure the Bucks fans watched him tonight don't recognize that same springy guy who dunked on LeBron early in his career. I think you got him for a reason. Obviously, first and foremost, big contract. Indiana didn't want to pay it. They were going after Ayton, so they needed to save some money. But I also think they saw some shades of decline from him that I think the Celtics are probably going to have to deal with as time goes on here. He's had a lot of injuries. He's dealing with an Achilles pain right now that cost him a ton of games last year. So I'm sure he's playing through that tonight.
Declined, huh? Decline's a strong
Just a
word.
little. In certain areas, Jimmy. Now, he's still as good of a shooter as he's ever been.
I mean, his 3-point
dribble as well.
been on.
But I'm just saying those specific areas, defense, athleticism, and finishing.
It's funny because I think when the season started, I think we were all talking about how like athletic and fit he looked. He looked like kind of like built and sort of ready to go. So I don't know if
I think he looks strong.
Yeah, he's strong.
I don't think he has great burst.
That could be true.
Yeah,
maybe I'm sure. And listen, the Achilles certainly would have something to do with that.
Yeah.
I feel like this year finishing at the rim has been somewhat of a concern, but for the most part, I mean, he's pretty solid and efficient. I just think every once in a while you get one of these showings, especially when he's sort of forced to score more, which obviously was the case in this one. But he's always very careful with that, obviously, right? Trying to get everyone involved, making sure everyone's getting their touches. But then he picks his spots when he has to attack. And I thought he had a couple of big plays in this game. But yeah, not the best Brogdon performance.
I want to look up this stat again because it was startling to see it early in the year, and I'm not trying to pile on him because I think he's been so vital this year. And tonight they need him to be aggressive as he's been. But I've been looking at this stat all year, and maybe there's some noise here that's enhancing it. But isolation defenders this year, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players defending isolations worse than Brogdon this year. He's given up 1.3 points per possession. That puts him in the 2nd percentile of isolation defenders this year. And you look at some of the names above him: Jackson Hayes, Isaiah Livers, Will Barton, who a lot of people in the chat want.
They want his offense. They don't want his defense.
Emmanuel Quickly. Man, Emmanuel Quickly's getting torched this year.
Emmanuel slowly.
Yeah, he's been.
It's only one possession a game.
Good one, Jimmy.
Got him.
It's only one possession a game, but when he gets lined up in isolation, he's had some trouble. And I think you saw that a little of that tonight, Jimmy, with the way the Bucks were attacking mismatches, specifically in transition. They really feasted in transition.
They're just freaking athletic as hell, man. I mean, whether it's Middleton or freaking what's his name, Holiday. You get those guys going.
Oh man,
Forget it.
he was insane.
Even old man Ingles can still get down the court. The old guy
He played important minutes.
at the
Oh,
Y.
he'll be flinging that jump shot
Old man
into his
Ingles.
40s. Into his 40s.
Unbelievable.
He's
He tried to get under Blake's skin tonight, but he couldn't quite.
What do you think of Middleton, Jimmy?
What do I think of Middleton? I think his outside shot is off a bit, but I mean, they haven't put it this way, Bobby. They haven't lost a game since he's been back. They're 11-0, and he hasn't
11
played in
straight wins.
He hasn't played in them all, and certainly he's not playing 40 minutes a game. They're sticking to that minutes restriction, which you got to have some real. I guess what's the word that I'm looking for? You got to just really stick to your guns to keep Middleton on that minutes restriction tonight. In a game where it was so close and going into overtime, but they did. He played 24 minutes or 25, whatever it was. 16 and 11 boards. I mean, that's a hell of an effort from him. 7 of 16 from the field.
What was his plus minus?
What was his plus minus? I don't know. It's a good question. 19.
Get a
freaking 19.
One, yeah.
Imagine that's game high. So,
yeah.
I mean, talk about a guy that isn't even all the way there yet. We knew, and Middleton's always been a Celtics killer since the beginning of time. He was born to be a Celtics killer, and that's just who he is. So, tonight, 16 and 11, and he's not even there yet. So if he can just avoid, if he can avoid the injury bug going forward, it's a huge get for them. We know they signed Crowder, so that's another guy that can give them some bench depth. The TNT broadcast was drooling. Yeah, TNT broadcast was drooling over the bench, over the Bucks bench and their depth tonight. I understand why. I thought the Celtics proved that they certainly have their own depth tonight. But yeah, Middleton getting him healthy, getting Crowder back. You know what he can give a team, especially if you're not relying on him to score. If you can go out there and just play hard. He's obviously rested. The guy hasn't touched the court all year. So they're getting a guy in Crowder that's going to come in without any wear and tear at all. So that's a big get for them. Carter, man. He's another
They'll be able to play.
Them.
They'll be able to play some interesting small ball lineups with Crowder, Portis, Giannis, and Middleton. So they're going to be tough. There's no doubt. When these two teams meet in a series, I know everyone's waving the flag tonight saying, oh, look how well the Celtics played them with the second unit. It's still going to be close, even when the Celtics starters come back. I don't think much will change. I think a lot of the guys who played tonight are still going to have to play big minutes in that game. Not these many minutes. Brown and Tatum obviously make all the difference and maybe swing the series. But you see tonight the ways.
A lot of people in the comments trashing Middleton. I guess they saw something different.
I didn't like how he looked. That's where I was going with that. So that's.
He's not the Middleton that we've seen in past years, but he's also obviously not there yet. He's on a minutes restriction for a reason. But I think listen, he's a proven veteran. I don't
feel like he would have hit that game winner
He was covered though. Yeah. He was covered by Mike
Muscala.
Mike the Moose Muscala. So
he was.
He was defended well, and you're right. When he took that shot, I thought it had a good chance of going in. But that isn't to say that he couldn't still hit that shot. I think shooting's probably the last thing I'd be concerned about. It's a guy that's made a career off of it. So I think that he's working his way back to that point. He's a plus 19 tonight for a reason, and it's not because he's had to score 30. So if he can find ways to be effective, God, if that was his stat line on the Celtics, every Celtics fan in the world would be telling us how effective he was and how good he was off the ball and how he makes this guy better and that guy better. But because he's on the Bucks, he's old, he's slow, and he sucks. So I don't really get too hung up on what everybody else thinks. I think it's pretty obvious if you're a game high plus 19 in 25 minutes that you probably have a positive effect out there in the court, and you're probably going to be a big part of this team's success moving forward. So I'll leave it at that.
He swung some things for sure into those second units, and the Celtics obviously had to dive deep into theirs. Pritchard didn't play great. You had Rob struggling there, and all your bigs pretty much played starter-level minutes aside from Blake. And then you had to go small at a certain point there, which I think unlocked Giannis. 19 free throw attempts is big time. So everyone's going to say the same thing coming out of this game. Nobody played for the Celtics. The Bucks had all their guys. Blah, 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 blah. But I think what you come away with after a game like this is you're going to play a series against this team similar to what you played last year. And that one, you went down 3-2. You had a epic, maybe career performance from Tatum in Game 6, and then you needed every one of those Grant threes in Game 7 to escape Giannis, who didn't slow down until the second half of Game 7, really. and he was incredible again tonight. I do feel like he's a little step behind what we saw from him last year, though he certainly got going over the last 11 games or so here. But Celtics forced him to take some tough leaners, kept him away from the basket a lot throughout this game. He missed a ton of free throws, as I talked about. So there's some ways you can, I think, limit him. I don't think either team has a real firm, decisive advantage in this series. Whenever it happens, feels like it's inevitable. And they're going to play a game in March now for home court, I'd say. Like it would make sense to me that the Celtics are going to keep winning, Bucks are going to keep winning, and they're going to stay in like this 1-2 game race and maybe a tie by the end of the year. They will be decided by that one game that's left in this building here in Milwaukee. So hope you're healthy for it. Maybe you get a break from guys not being healthy on the Milwaukee side. I'm interested to see what Crowder looks like. If he can be any percentage of his old self, that's a massive, massive addition. And not giving up anybody for it either is substantial. Almost had to give up Grayson Allen there at one point, it seemed like. So, I'm respectful of the Bucks. I'm not saying I'm scared of them, but you have to respect that team with every fiber of your being. Because
how can you not be a little scared?
You know the Celtics fans, Jimmy.
Just because of Middleton.
Not scared, like, I'm scared, but like this is a legit.
Would have been a blowout.
Right. Yeah, but yes and no. I mean, you had guys playing out of their skulls tonight that wouldn't. So you're gonna get production. You're gonna lose production. Yeah, obviously.
How lethal is he?
He's unbelievable. I mean, he's just super athletic. I mean, he's just so strong. On both ends,
up plays
finishes.
Left and right.
Yeah, he really does. But yeah, I mean, listen, the Celtics. I mean, the Celtics made a statement tonight that they're not going to roll over. Certainly we've seen them roll over in the past. So I was very happy. This is about the happiest you'll ever see me after a loss, and I'm usually not ever happy after a loss. And I think we all went into this game expecting a loss, but I didn't expect to see the fight that I saw. I didn't expect the Celtics would have had a chance to win. I'm a little disappointed at the execution down the stretch. I think that they had a chance to win it, obviously, and that kind of changes the story a little bit because, you obviously want them to finish when they can. But it is what it is. The effort was there. It was a great all-around one tonight. I thought it was the best. I thought it was one of the best games of the year. I was trying to get, so Bobby, you had mentioned that you guys just got a little bit of Joe, and I really wanted to get the video of the Mazzulla interview up. It looks like we tweeted it on Celtics CLNS. Mazzulla on why Robert Williams played so little, and if you go over to our YouTube page, oh, look at that.
Oh, there it is.
Maybe we can. I don't know if we can though. That's the thing.
Look at Joe. He's like, you guys caught me in the hallway.
Let's see if Amit can. Let's see.
Time for Josue to go to bed. Not gonna get it.
Hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can get the Amit. Do you know how to get the volume to work on that one? Because it looks like we got the video but no volume.
Yeah, I don't know how to work that either.
Jimmy,
we'll see if Amit can. I was just gonna say I'm gonna do the phone thing. I didn't want to have to do the phone thing, but I will do the. I'm certainly not too embarrassed to do the phone thing.
Here we go. Ready?
I'll do the phone thing.
Yeah, there we go.
Everybody, this is a back and forth between, I believe, Jay King, who is a Celtics reporter for The Athletic, and great dude, good guy. What's up, Jay? And Joe Mazzulla. This is about why Rob Williams played so little tonight.
Robert Williams, brought him off the bench.
It's not so bad, right?
What was the
Not so
reason?
bad.
Was that something where it was an injury-related thing, or was that a matchup thing, or what was there? Was it a matchup thing? He never comes off the bench. He never.
Oh shoot! I just shut it off. Hold on. Technical difficulties here. Ready?
Since he got off his minutes restriction, he has not come off the bench. So what was the purpose of the change?
Could you guys hear that, or did I just
waste
everybody's time?
Oh, yeah, we read it.
So that was Joe Mazzulla explaining, or really not explaining, why Robert Williams didn't play tonight. Did Amit just figure it out? Amit, did you figure it out?
We
If you
Whatever.
if you figured it
Anyways.
out, let's do that instead. Yeah.
Is he gonna try it again? We'll give this one more shot, guys.
Robert Williams.
Here we go.
You
there we go.
got him off the bench. He only played 13 minutes. What was the reasoning there? Was that something where it was an injury-related thing, or was that a matchup thing, or what?
No reason.
What was there? Was it a matchup thing?
No.
He never comes off the bench. He never.
It's not true.
Well, since he got off his minutes restriction, he has not come off the bench.
Yes.
So what was the purpose of the change?
It's not like Megan.
Robert.
I don't believe him.
Man,
There's
you
a
know what?
reason.
You know what? Shout out
I
Ahmed.
don't think
I
Joe
like
believes Joe. Like, jeez.
shout out Ahmed for having that us on the side so we can kind of react to it instead of
Yeah, I
just
like
watching it.
that.
That was cool.
Like around the horn vibe.
Anyways, why Joe? Like why so
Why do
short?
that?
Why so angry? Why so dismissive and like demeaning?
Especially, I mean, this wasn't a loss that you'd get
Well,
nailed
it was.
over. There'd be a lot of
Right.
questions about moral victories and good performances in the loss. And yeah, you'll get drilled on a few tough decisions late, but I don't think anyone would have come into that presser saying they blew it. What a bad loss. Terrible.
Right.
Again, this goes back to what I'm saying. It could be a lot worse. They've played well. He's gotten a lot of credit. He's gotten some scrutiny, I think, that probably bothered him early about the timeouts and stuff like that. And I'm sure that didn't ingratiate him well to the press corps covering the team, if that's what you want to call it. But I don't get the defensiveness. I don't get the unwillingness to
no, it
share.
isn't. No, it wasn't. No.
Yeah.
No, wrong.
And
Wrong.
then it
You're
just
wrong. You don't know
almost-
anything. I know everything. You know nothing. You're an idiot. I'm smarter than you. I know basketball. You don't. Next question.
That's how
It's like
it kind of
Dude.
comes off that way.
that's exactly
Yeah.
how
And I
it comes
think
off.
he
That's
started-
how he wants it to come off.
And I think he started it off when we were starting the interview saying, be direct with your questions or be intentional with your questions or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, dude, we're as a reporter,
We're looking for explanations from you.
exactly
Yeah.
so that we can accurately write the story. If Jay King's trying to write a story on why Rob Williams didn't play tonight, and he wants to be accurate and he wants to be informative to the readers or the viewers or whoever, we're asking you, man. You're right. You do know basketball more than we do. Duh, you're the freaking head coach. No one's acting like we know more than you. So help us. Help us understand what's going through your mind. Why is Rob Williams playing 12 minutes a game? Why is he coming off the bench? Why isn't he in there in big situations? What did the Bucks do to take him out of the game? What can he do differently to be more effective? They're all fair questions. They're not gotcha questions. One of your best players played 12 minutes tonight, and the Celtics lost, and Rob Williams was nowhere to be seen in the biggest parts of the game. That's unfair to ask about that.
Right.
And of course, if you're going to
Jimmy,
respond,
you've seen this. Some people struggle, and it's weird to me because he's from Rhode Island, so he understands the climate. He rooted for these teams, and he understands the atmosphere. This isn't a guy from Florida or
sure, yeah, he's not Rick Pitino
California.
coming in and not understanding what he's getting himself into, right?
Yeah,
but
so-
That's before your
he
time a
is,
little bit, Bob. But basically, Rick Pitino couldn't handle it in Boston at all. You saw how that ended. Point is, when you react so hostile like that, it gets uncomfortable. It kind of throws the reporter for a loop, and it creates a situation that's completely unnecessary. Like Jay King or whoever's out in freaking middle of nowhere, Milwaukee, trying to do his job tonight. He's not trying to cause trouble. He's just trying to get his story written and inform the public on why
And a
Rob
very
Williams
legit
didn't
answer.
play.
Williams went from the starting lineup to the bench on a night where you had numerous guys out of nowhere, didn't play for most of the first half, played 4 minutes in the first half, and then sparsely played the second half. It was one of the most important questions of the night.
Yeah,
Right.
and I don't want to
He
act
just
like
blew it off.
I'm not act like media means everything and media should be treated so fair. Like I get it, a lot of people think the media is whatever and they don't care and they have it out against media members. That's fine, but I just think the relationship between media and players and media and coaches and whatever, it doesn't need to be hostile. It doesn't need to be like Kyrie Irving's interviews every single time. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be like that. Like everyone can coexist and do their jobs, right? And work in harmony and all this stuff. So it just kind of bothers me to see that. And for some reason with Joe Mazzulla, it seems like it's becoming more frequent, and it's not going to end well that way. It really isn't, because
And that's what I worry about, because he is a good coach. I don't think any of us argue against his basketball mind and acumen. But the
of course not.
poise,
Guys got the job for a reason.
There's other parts to this job, Jimmy, as you said, that like being the voice of the team, making the key decisions and defending them, and setting a tone for what the message is going to be after games like this is important for coaches to do. And
For sure.
I hate to do the Ime comparison, but Ime did a great job with that. And maybe Joe's the better coach than Ime, but these are all different parts of the job that go into it. And things are going well right now. This isn't even the downturn. And they're going to have championship expectations this year. Anything short of that's going to be a disappointment. And he's still the interim coach. So it's almost like, help us help you. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to write these
Sure.
great stories about how well Joe Mazzulla is doing. It's always going to be tough questions after tough losses.
Right.
And
But
like
if
you
you
said,
can
Jimmy,
understand the thinking
have
behind
to-
it.
Right.
you have to do both. And a lot of the time, like, from my perspective, a lot of the time I'm asking him for stuff, trying to like get a better understanding of what's going on. And I don't often get like, listen, he's giving me great answers. He's giving me poor answers. And I think I've gotten everything in between from him this year. But there are times where it almost feels like he gets defensive when I'm just looking for some information. I'm not trying to go at him or question something, but I don't know. I don't have a good feel for why this is the kind of relationship that's in place right now between the press corps and him. I don't know.
Maybe he's protecting his players, right? By just,
That
sort
might
of
be it.
brushing off the questions, and I'm sure in a way the players respect that, and that's fine. But I think it goes back to a little bit about leading
Yeah,
by
I think
example.
he's big on that, Jimmy, for sure.
Yeah, I think he is too, and that's great. And again, they're 41-17. They have the top seed in the East. You can only complain so much about the way things are being done, but nobody's perfect, certainly. And I think that that's probably something that he could work on over time and be a little bit better. And again, I'm not asking him to divulge injury updates. I get it. If guys want to hold that information close to the vest, it is what it is. I don't expect to get updates on player health all the time. But at the same time, like, you're not Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's kind of earned the right to be a jerk, and there's only so much you can say about that. Anyways, I think that's enough about that whole thing. You guys got any final thoughts? We've gone for an hour and a half almost. I want to say once again that the Garden Report is sponsored by our new friends at Betterhelp. That's betterhelp.com/garden today. Get 10% off your first month of therapy, guys. We talked about it briefly. I'm not going to go into it again, but there's a lot going on in the world today. A lot can get you down or sort of knock you off your feet. If you want to be the best version of yourself, you gotta start somewhere, and you gotta. Sometimes it's hard to admit, but if you're not feeling right, reach out. And one of the best places to do that is through a professional, and BetterHelp can line you up with one. So visit betterhelp.com/garden today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/garden. And also our good friends at Athletic Greens. We cannot forget them. That's at athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So if you're somebody like me, you're going to stack AG1 with BetterHelp, with beef organs, and you're going to crush the day. That's just something that I would do. You guys do your thing. Final thoughts, guys. Josue, we'll start with you since you've been holding it down with me for the hour and a half there, and then we'll close it up with Bobby, who will be traveling back from Milwaukee tomorrow, and might be a game time decision, I guess, for tomorrow night against Detroit. Is that true, Bob?
Yeah, I'm on a late flight coming back, so if I can't get on an earlier one, I'll be in studio. If I can, I'll be at the game.
Okay, so we'll see you either way. Great. Yeah. All right, Josue.
I mean, look, it's not the outcome that they wanted, but it was a heck of an effort, and I think you have to carry that into tomorrow and just see whatever you have left in the tank, just leave it all on the floor. And I think they will. I don't know if it'll be enough for a win, especially against a team like that. However, I will say though, I think this helps guys like Hauser and guys like Derek White. I mean, not that like they were struggling going into this game, but I think it's the kind of a pressure game that you can look back on and say, man, I can build off of that. Next time we play against Milwaukee or next time we're in that building, I feel great about how I'm going to perform. And I think there's something to be said about that because, I mean, that's what it really matters, right? The playoffs and what this team wants to do and their goals and trying to reach a championship. I mean, this game heading into it, it was more about what was best for them, not about what was best for their chances to win against Milwaukee. They still almost pulled it off, right? I mean, they needed to get these guys some rest, and they really know where they stand in terms of how they want to reach their goal of reaching the championship, and this stuff matters. I mean, giving guys the night off, guys like Tatum and Brown, and again, seeing other guys step up in this way to force overtime against a team that had all their bodies and all the main guys that really want to deliver a message, right? And they were forced to almost lose against the team's JV squad or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about the effort that was put forth by the Celtics, and I think that's hopefully that'll help them in a big way tomorrow night. But I do think that the Celtics, this is their best loss. I don't know. I hate saying stuff like that, but whatever you want to call it, that's what this is. They'll look back on that and say that. Yeah.
My biggest takeaway is Muscala. I'm excited about him. I didn't know what to expect. Great performance tonight. I think he's looked awesome in all 3 games. His defense surprises me. His ability to play the 4 surprises me. And you see why he built a 96 percentile on-off rating to start this year. That's the kind of impact he had on the Thunder. We're in a great team. And now he'll, I'd imagine, continue to have an impact on this Celtics team. And Mike Budenholzer, of course, the Bucks coach, coached him his first 4 seasons in the league with the Hawks. So he had a lot to say to me pregame about how brilliant of a teammate, called him an all-time teammate in terms of his day in, day out approach. And he's quite a bit to offer on the court as well. I mean, 50% three-point shooting through 3 games and all the right spaces offensively. Derek White was like, this guy hasn't even practiced and he knows what he's doing right now. Defense will come. I've been a little pleasantly surprised with him on that end, even though he hasn't been amazing there. But I think that end is going to be much more complicated for him to pick up. And, they'll back each other up. They'll help each other on that end. And sign for next year, which is the bonus. When we were juggling Pirtle versus Muscala, Pirtle would have been a rental, maybe a higher end possible replacement for Rob in that spot. I still wonder how much of a replacement Muscala can be for Rob or Al if either one of them goes down, or even Grant if Grant leaves this summer. But for now, he supplements all 3 of those guys in a really effective way. And to just lose Justin Jackson and a couple second-round picks for that, really, really good deal. I mean, you can't question the value of that trade. Just a slam dunk.
Awesome trade. You guys nailed it. I'm just gonna defer to your points, and I want to say also thank you to everybody who stuck it out with us tonight. Really, really fun game. Love the effort. Even though the Celtics took an L, I think it's something they can build off of in some way. We will be back here in less than 20...
One more game till the break.
That's right. Oh, that's what I wanted. You know what? Timeout. Before we leave, quick thoughts on Jason Tatum being named to the 3-point contest. Is he gonna win?
No.
I don't think so.
That's a no. That's a no. I would agree. I just don't think it's his. It's not his shot. That's just not how his shot.
If he
works.
does, it'll be impressive. Yeah. I'm glad he's doing it.
It's not. It's
what a choke the dunk contest field is. So I do like Jericho Sims.
He needs someone passing it to him or a couple of dribbles, but we'll see.
Do you guys think? Do you think
Deuce will set him up?
Yeah, it's gonna be Deuce just handing him the ball. I mean, who knows
how
to pass
it to that.
If I was a betting man, Deuce will make an appearance that night, 1,000%.
Oh, we'll be on the dude. We're gonna get all-star Deuce, I think. So that should be interesting. But all right, so that's it for us. Also, shout out Providence Friars tonight. Big double overtime win at home against number 18 Creighton.
And Syracuse beats number 23 NC State.
That's right. We got a Syracuse guy in here. But we got to give the local team a shout out because they won on the big stage at home. I think it was Breast Cancer Awareness Night too, so there's a lot of pink in the crowds. So shout out PC. Shout out to everybody who
That's what's
watched
up.
tonight, and we will see you
Good job,
guys
Jimmy, in the hosting chair.
tomorrow. Thank you.